Okay, let's unpack this phenomenal collection of recipes. We're going on a deep dive into what is arguably the world's most adaptable culinary form, the pie.
It really is.
We're analyzing dozens of most wanted pie recipes, and our mission today isn't just to, summarize these things.
No, not at all.
We want to uncover the sheer audacity in some of the ingredient choices, the surprising diversity in preparation, and the fascinating techniques that define this whole stack of favorites.
Right.
We're really looking for the underlying philosophy. What makes a pie wanted? Is it speed? Is it complexity? Or is it just pure novelty?
It truly is a comprehensive look at the form, and you hit on the core conflict immediately. When you hear the word pie, most people think of a standard fruit dessert.
Sure, apple, cherry, the usual suspects.
Exactly. But this collection demonstrates that pie is an incredibly adaptable format. It can span from, the ultra-traditional, time-intensive custard all the way to a full savory dinner.
Like that crawfish pie we'll get to later.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We'll be analyzing the conflict between these precise, almost scientific methods like the delicate balancing act you need for a perfect meringue, and then the modern convenience of, say, instant pudding mix and non-dairy whipped topping.
So tradition versus convenience.
The real ingenuity here isn't just in the ingredients, though. It's in the step-by-step processes and how cooks choose to either commit to that tradition or, substitute for speed.
That tension between tradition and speed is the perfect through line. I think the fastest way to understand that technical showdown is to just dive right into the classics and compare their approaches.
Let's do it.
We're starting with Section I, looking at the fruit and berry spectrum. Specifically, we're focusing on the banana and blueberry pies, and we immediately run into a technical battle. The bain-marie versus instant chill.
And that juxtaposition of the two banana pies, the banana meringue pie on page 4 and the banana pie royale on page 5, is just a masterclass in contrasting culinary philosophies.
Let's start with the meringue pie.
The meringue pie is the grandmother's recipe. It demands commitment. It demands skill.
The ingredients list for that one? While it seems simple, sugar, flour, eggs, milk, it's almost obsessive in how specific it is.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about fractions of cups and tablespoons for the filling. 1/2 cup and 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. This level of precision suggests, a history of very careful measurement to get it right.
Well, it does. But the technique is the key indicator of its traditional nature. It calls for cooking the filling inside a bain-marie until it's thick.
Okay, so for anyone listening who isn't familiar, a bain-marie, that's essentially a hot water bath, right? A double boiler setup.
Exactly. It provides this gentle, steady heat. And you ask, why go through that trouble?
Yeah, why?
Because it prevents the filling, which has eggs and milk, from scorching on the bottom, or, even worse, cooking too quickly and scrambling the eggs. That gentle heat is pure commitment.
And the recipe even specifies covering it and cooking for another 10 minutes after it thickens.
Yes. Patience is built into the instructions.
And then comes the tempering. You can't just dump the beaten yolks right into that hot mix.
No, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
You have to temper the filling. You slowly incorporate a small amount of the hot mixture into the beaten yolks first.
And that just brings the temperature up gradually.
It does. It raises the yolk's temperature slowly, which prevents them from seizing up or scrambling when you eventually add them back into the main pot. This is how you get that smooth, glossy, uniform custard.
All before it's even poured onto the banana slices in the crust. It's all about achieving that perfect texture through patience.
It is.
And the meringue topping itself, that's not a quick whip either.
No, it's a chemistry experiment. You combine the egg whites, the stabilizers, which are 1/16 of a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar.
Very specific.
Very. And then you have to beat continuously while slowly adding the remaining sugar until those stiff peaks form. The final baking time is 18 minutes at 325 degrees.
Yeah.
Just long enough to brown the peaks without drying it all out.
The whole pie is built on patience and very precise temperature control.
Absolutely.
Now, if the banana meringue pie is commitment, then the banana pie royale is the definition of a modern shortcut. But it's equally most wanted. Is the flavor gap between the two really small enough to justify that speed?
And that is the critical question this collection poses, isn't it? The pie royale is a no-bake concept. It prioritizes speed above everything else.
The ingredient list just screams convenience.
It does. 2 packages of 8-ounce yogurt, 2 tablespoons of rum flavoring, not even real rum instant banana cream pudding mix, and non-dairy whipped topping. This recipe basically substitutes technique with pre-manufactured ingredients.
And the instructions are ridiculously simple. Beat ingredients thoroughly until thick, fold in topping. Then you spoon half onto a prepared graham crust, add a layer of bananas, and cover with the rest.
And what's the final technical requirement?
30 minutes. 30 minutes of refrigeration. That's it.
So you skip the tempering, you skip the long stove time, the careful oven work, the meringue science. You trade that rich, slow-cooked custard flavor for instant satisfaction.
And you get a light, airy texture from the yogurt and whipped topping.
It perfectly illustrates how our modern desire for speed and minimal effort shapes what becomes a most wanted recipe in today's kitchen.
That comparison is fascinating, but here's where it gets, for me, really interesting. When we move into the blueberry spectrum, the ingenuity just ramps up. It's not just speed versus tradition anymore.
No, it's more than that.
It's novelty versus expected outcome, and using ingredients in some radically new ways.
The sheer number of blueberry variations is staggering. It spans from recipe 3 all the way through 15. It just goes to show that even a classic fruit can be endlessly innovated upon.
Where do we start?
The spectrum starts with the Blue Bottom ice cream pie, which right away presents a paradox. It's an ice cream pie, but the process begins with the cooked sauce.
That initial step is definitely complex for what you'd think of as a simple freeze-roll dessert. 4 cups of fresh blueberries, a cup of sugar, cornstarch, water, all simmered until the sauce thickens.
And then half a cup of that mixture is reserved specifically for the topping. The cook has to commit to making a perfect, stable sauce before they even think about the ice cream.
And that reserved topping is customized. It's beaten with orange-flavored juice and drizzled over the vanilla ice cream layer.
And that orange provides a crucial aromatic and acidic contrast to the rich blueberry and the vanilla. And this is vital for anyone listening.
Yeah.
The final step involves freezing the pie, but you have to remember that crucial 30-minute thaw before serving.
Ah, the thaw. Why is that so important?
If you skip that thaw, you ruin the texture. It'll be rock solid, and you'll probably break your pie slicer. It's an ice cream pie, yes, but it still demands technical time and control.
Okay, so from flavor complexity, we move to visual drama with the blue meringue pie. This one seems to simplify the inside by using canned blueberry pie filling, but then it focuses all the creativity on the top layer. It's all about looks over effort, it seems.
The meringue is absolutely the centerpiece here. It turns the top of the pie into this abstract blue sculpture. It gets that vibrant hue by tinting the mixture with 4 blue and 2 red food coloring drops.
Why the red drops?
The red is necessary to prevent the blue from looking greenish or too aqua. It deepens the color. This is purely aesthetic customization, and it's baked quickly at 400 degrees until it's browned. The focus shifts entirely from the internal flavor to the visual presentation.
I have to ask, if they're using canned filling, why even bother with the meringue at all, let alone a blue one? Is it just a way to dress up an admitted shortcut?
I think so.
Yeah.
It elevates a basic, convenient filling. It's a classic example of substitution. You're thinking, I'm saving time by not cooking the filling from scratch, but I'm going to spend my remaining energy on the visual flair of a towering, colored meringue.
It's a calculated compromise.
Exactly.
From drama to rustic, we jump straight to blueberry bang belly. This sounds like something out of a very old, very simple cookbook.
It definitely evokes that scratch-made sort of frontier feel, partly because of the name, and partly because it uses a rectangular baking dish, a greased 13 by 9 inch pie plate, instead of a traditional round pan.
And the crust process is really emphasized.
It is. It talks about cutting, shortening into the flour, salt, and baking powder mixture until it resembles a course meal. The focus is on that tactile commitment.
And the filling is simple.
Super simple. Blueberries, sugar, and flour cooked on mid-heat until it gets bubbly, then poured in and covered with the rest of the dough. It's the antithesis of a highly refined custard. It's sturdy, simple, and baked until it's just uniformly golden brown.
Now, let's discuss the blueberry custard pie. This one relies pretty heavily on canned ingredients to build its structure, but it still requires the precise heat management of a baked dessert.
Right. This uses canned evaporated milk mixed with flour, sugar, eggs, and vanilla. Evaporated milk provides this concentrated richness that's really stable and easy to store, which makes it a great ingredient for home cooks.
And this rich custard base is poured over 2 cups of fresh blueberries.
And here, the challenge isn't really the ingredient list, but the precise 2-stage baking process that a custard needs to set correctly.
What's the technical reasoning behind that 2-stage heat process?
Well, it starts high. It needs 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. This initial high heat rapidly sets the outer edges and the crust, locking the shape.
And then?
Then, crucially, it must be lowered dramatically to 350 degrees for another 35 minutes. If you skip that temperature drop, the egg proteins in the center will cook way too fast.
And you get, what, curdle eggs?
You'll get curdling, cracks, or a burned top. It's a method designed to balance that initial speed with the final tenderness.
Now let's talk about crust integrity and modern adaptations. The detailed blueberry pie recipe raises some eyebrows because the crust specifically incorporates low-fat and fat-free margarine.
Ah, yes.
Is this truly a functional crust innovation, or is it just a sign of, some short-lived dietary trends influencing cooking?
I lean toward the latter. Though it is technically a structural attempt, it's a very specific dual margarine crust. You're chilling and cutting up low-fat margarine and blending it with fat-free margarine.
So what's the goal there?
The instruction is trying to mimic the flaky texture of butter or shortening, using substitutes that were popular during that whole era of diet-conscious cooking. It's an economic and health-focused substitution, but it still demands the traditional time-consuming process of mixing and forming a ball with ice water.
But despite those modern fat substitutes, the filling is really robust. 5 cups of blueberries, lemon zest, vanilla, cornstarch, and the bake time is extensive.
It is. The technique focus here is on classic double crust baking. You're forming the decorative sealed edges, applying an egg white and water wash on top, and then pricking the surface for venting.
And that venting is critical, right?
Oh, it's critical for releasing the steam from those 5 cups of berries. It prevents the top crust from collapsing inward. And the total baking time is long, about an hour and 15 minutes at 375. So you're using modern ingredients, but you haven't sacrificed the time commitment of a true double crust pie.
Okay, let's unpack this next one, because this is where the conventional idea of a pie collapses entirely. For me, this is a true aha moment. The blueberry soda cracker pie.
This is a remarkable inclusion, and frankly, it's genius in its simplicity and substitution. The unconventional ingredient is 1 cup of crushed soda crackers mixed directly into the base.
With flour, sugar, baking soda, salt, melted butter.
Yes. This recipe takes an item that's already in every pantry, salty, crisp soda crackers, and uses it as a primary structural and textural component.
It fundamentally changes the entire experience. Why would a cook use soda crackers instead of just, more flour and butter?
It serves several functions. First, texture. Standard pie crust relies on carefully layered fats to create flakiness. Soda crackers are already crisp, and when you mix them with melted butter, they create an incredibly solid, crumbly, non-soggy base.
And the flavor?
Second, flavor. The inherent saltiness of the cracker provides a fantastic counterpoint to the sweetness of the canned blueberry filling, which is brightened further with lemon juice. And this cracker mixture serves as both the bottom layer and as the crumbled topping.
That's a brilliant, low-effort textural solution.
It absolutely is.
That shift from a labor-intensive pastry to a salty, crisp, everyday pantry item to create a primary texture element for a dessert, that's a huge lesson in adaptability for home cooks.
It really is. And finally, rounding out this whole blueberry exploration, we have the blueberry sour cream pie, which brings a high level of technical baking difficulty right back to the forefront. It proves that home cooks haven't abandoned rigor.
This one requires a pretty rigorous pre-bake process just for the crust. You have to roll the pastry, fit it into the pie plate, and then freeze it for 10 minutes. Why the freeze?
The freezing step stabilizes the fat in the pastry dough. When it goes into the oven, the cold fat melts more slowly, which helps the dough hold its shape and prevents shrinkage or slumping before the gluten sets.
And that's just the beginning of the crust treatment. It then has to be blind baked.
Right.
We hear the term blind baked all the time. In simple terms, what are we doing here and why is it necessary?
Blind baking simply means baking the crust before you add the filling. It's done to prevent the dreaded soggy bottom.
And this filling is particularly wet, I'm guessing?
Exactly, because this particular filling is rich and moist. It's got sour cream, egg, almond extract, fresh blueberries. The bottom crust needs a head start. The recipe demands the crust be covered with foil and weights, like dried beans or pie weights, and baked at 400 for 12 minutes to set the structure.
That is a meticulous process. And after all that, the complex sour cream filling is poured in, topped by a pecan crumble, and baked for another 12 minutes.
It is a pie that uses every trick in the book. Freezing for stability, weights for shape, pre-baking for texture, a rich cultured dairy filling, and a layered crumble topping. It contrasts so sharply with the instant pies, showing that when the end product is truly complex in flavor and texture, the time investment is still considered worthwhile.
So we've moved from banana traditions cooked slowly in a water bath to a blueberry spectrum involving food coloring, soda crackers, dual margarine crusts, and very specific temperature-controlled blind baking.
A huge range.
That sets the stage perfectly for Section 2, unexpected fillings and savory surprises. This is where we break out of the dessert aisle completely and see what happens when cooks play with the classic boundaries.
Agreed. And we start Section 2 by analyzing apple pie reimagined. This shows that cooks are willing to push the boundaries of texture and sweetness, using modern beverages and confectionaries to elevate the classic apple profile.
Let's start with the bubbly apple pies with secret ingredient. The secret ingredient here is 12 ounces of Sprite. Now, this isn't just a sweet carbonated addition, is it? It fundamentally changes the chemistry and the texture of the bake.
It's a brilliant hack. The preparation is key.
Yeah.
You wrap Granny Smith apples in crescent rolls. Once they're wrapped, you pour cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, sugar, and that 12 ounces of Sprite directly over the rolls in the baking dish.
So what does the Sprite do?
The carbonation and the acid in the Sprite likely contribute to both moisture and tenderness. It helps the crescent rolls puff up quickly and gives that final moist, bubbly texture that's in the name.
But wait, that's only the second part of this recipe. This pie it's a bizarre hybrid.
It really is.
The first part is a no-bake base in a graham cracker crust using Philadelphia cream cheese, evaporated milk, and lemon juice, and it's lined with lemon juice-dipped banana slices.
It's a Frankenstein's pie. It fuses two distinct pie genres, the chilled cream cheese no-bake pie and a warm baked apple dumpling. The final dish is the chilled cream base topped with the warm, bubbly baked apple crescent rolls. It's maximalist cooking.
Then we hit the maximal indulgence layers in the candy apple pie and caramel apple pie recipes. They're essentially the same intense preparation method, layered for extreme richness.
And they demonstrate a move toward hyper-sweet confectionery-style pies. The construction is incredibly architectural. It demands patience not in cooking time, but in chilling time.
So the crust itself, a crumb base, is topped first with 3/4 of a cup of caramel ice cream topping and chopped pecans, and then it's chilled.
That topping acts as a binding layer. It sets the stage for the rest of the pie.
Layer 2 is the cooked apple filling. Granny Smith apples cooked in butter, brown sugar, cinnamon, and salt until they're soft. This cooled apple mixture is then poured over that caramel layer, so we're building depth of flavor.
And then layer 3, the baked topping. A mix of cream cheese, egg, sugar, vanilla, and lemon juice. This is poured over the apples and baked for a half hour until a toothpick comes out neat. But the structural demands are intense.
How so?
It requires a total of 4 hours of refrigeration before you can serve it. This pie relies as much on extended chilling to fully set and marry those complex, heavy layers as it does on the initial cooking.
Moving to some truly unconventional flavor additions, we find the candy apple walnut pie. This is an experiment in extreme spicing.
This pie is all about dramatic flavor substitution. It uses red-hot candies, tossed directly with sliced apples, walnuts, flour, and sugar. This inclusion is not subtle at all. The red hots have to melt completely during the bake, infusing the apples with an intense, sugary cinnamon heat.
And the topping is a lesson in ingredient economy.
Instead of making a second full crust, the recipe smartly directs the cook to break the second pie crust into small pieces for a crumble topping. It's tossed with sugar and sprinkled generously over the apple and candy mixture.
And you bake it until the candies melt and bubble over the crumble crust. That sounds intense.
It promises a very hot, spicy sweet profile, paired with the textural crunch of walnuts and that crumble.
The ultimate flavor challenge for a savory tooth has to be integrating cheese into apple pie, which appears in two distinct forms here. It shows two different philosophies on how to pair savory and sweet.
This is a classic culinary pairing, but the two methods are distinct. The cheddar crumble apple pie integrates the cheese directly into the fruit filling.
So 1.5 pounds of Granny Smith apples are tossed with lemon juice, flour, nutmeg, and a substantial 1.5 cups of grated cheddar cheese before being topped with a standard crumble.
Exactly. So the cheddar crumble pie uses cheese for internal richness and tang. The cheese melts into the filling, adding tanginess, cutting the sweetness, and enriching the texture. It becomes an internal flavor component.
But the cheddar crust apple pie takes a completely different approach. It puts the cheese right into the structure of the crust itself.
This is a purely technique-driven savory element applied to structure. It calls for 1.5 cups of finely shredded cheddar to be incorporated directly into the pastry dough.
So what's the implication of putting the cheese in the crust versus in the filling?
It provides textural contrast and a strong savory note right from the first bite, surrounding the sweet, spiced filling. And the recipe details the importance of using foil to protect the edges during the initial 25 minutes of baking.
To keep the cheese from burning.
Exactly. That foil ensures the cheese in the exposed edges doesn't burn, allowing the crust to set properly before the foil is removed for the final browning. This method emphasizes that savory-sweet tension right in the fundamental structure of the pie.
That dual use of cheddar as an internal richness agent and a structural component really shows that no boundary is sacred when it comes to pie. Let's look at the non-traditional fruit pies that follow.
Right. In this segment, we see experimentation with citrus, melon, and even root vegetables, ingredients not commonly associated with baked pie structure, which forces cooks to adapt their thickening and setting agents.
We're starting with the burnt orange meringue pie, which relies on multiple layered citrus components to achieve its flavor.
Beyond the standard cornstarch and sugar filling base, this pie gets a rich, deep orange flavor by incorporating freshly squeezed orange juice, grated orange zest, and 2 tablespoons of orange-flavored liqueur.
The liqueur probably adds a lot of depth.
It does. Something like Grand Marnier, it's added gently, after the egg whites are beaten stiff but before the final bake. The alcohol concentrates the volatile citrus oils, giving it a very complex, aromatic flavor profile.
And the cantaloupe pie recipes offer a fascinating comparison of preparation styles for a delicate, watery fruit like a melon. How do you stabilize something with that much water content?
The first version, the gelatin cantaloupe pie, is a chilled, modern approach. It uses a chemical stabilizer. You process the melon into a smooth puree, then mix it with cream cheese, gelatin, orange juice, and sugar.
So the gelatin provides all the structure.
It does. It provides that firm structure when you pour it into a chilled graham cracker crust. It's an easy, no-bake fix for a tricky ingredient.
But the second cantaloupe pie uses the classic cooked meringue approach, meaning they committed to thickening the pulp through heat.
Yes, that version uses masked cantaloupe pulp, which has to be thickened rigorously with flour and egg yolks, cooked until it's creamy. This is the traditional way to stabilize a wet filling, relying on starch and egg proteins. It's then topped with a 3-egg white meringue and baked.
It shows the dedication needed to force a custard structure onto a non-traditional, water-heavy fruit.
It really does.
The carrot ice cream pie might be the most unusual combination of texture and core ingredients we've seen yet. It's combining a root vegetable with a frozen confection.
It is entirely unique. It's essentially a frozen, sophisticated riff on carrot cake flavors. It combines 2½ cups of chopped carrots, a root vegetable, with concentrated lemonade, sugar, and vanilla ice cream.
What is the functional role of the concentrated lemonade here? That seems so odd.
The concentrated lemonade serves multiple purposes. It acts as an acid to brighten the otherwise earthy carrot flavor. It's a powerful sweetener. And crucially, it's a binding agent because of its high sugar content. It helps the mixture freeze into a stable, sliceable consistency.
And it's a freezer pie, so it needs a long time to set.
A very long time. It needs to freeze for 8 hours to ensure a complete set.
And then on the extreme end of simplicity, we have the Crystal Light lemonade pie. This is the absolute opposite of the meticulous baking we saw in the cantaloupe meringue.
If the carrot ice cream pie is sophisticated, the Crystal Light lemonade pie is purely utilitarian. It represents the peak of convenience culture in pie making.
It's the absolute quickest pie we've analyzed.
Just 4 ingredients: a 1/4 cup of milk, cream cheese, the powdered Crystal Light lemonade mix, and Cool Whip. Mixed and chilled for 3 to 4 hours. No cooking, no tempering, just reliance on chemical stabilizers and pre-made ingredients.
It really makes you ask the question, at what point does a pie stop being a true culinary effort and just become a chilled mixture in a crust?
That's a profound question. And perhaps the savory sector has an answer, as these are entirely utilitarian. We now move to section C, the savory sector. These are not desserts with savory undertones. These are bona fide meals in a shell.
This section really confirms that pie means dinner just as much as it means dessert.
As long as the cook understands how to contain a meal within a pastry structure, the chicken dumpling pie is really a casserole application pretending to be a pie.
It combines 3 cups of chopped cooked chicken, cream of chicken soup, condensed chicken stock, poultry seasoning, and canned mixed veggies in a baked dish.
And the dumpling comes from the topping, which serves as a rapid, simplified crust.
Right. It's a simple mix of biscuit mix, sour cream, and milk, spooned over the chicken mixture and baked for an hour.
Correct. The biscuit mix rises and turns golden, acting as a sturdy bread-like lid that absorbs the steam from the filling. It's a classic, comforting, one-dish approach.
The next one, chicken pie with sweet potato crust, is far more involved, particularly in the structural element of the crust.
This offers a detailed look at making a savory crust from scratch, going beyond just flour and shortening. It's made with flour, salt, baking powder, shortening, egg, and 1 cup of cold mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes in the crust. What does that achieve that flour and shortening alone cannot?
The cold mashed potatoes provide a moist, rich density to the dough that a traditional pastry lacks. They help bind the dough while also imparting a subtle, earthy, savory flavor that pairs beautifully with the chicken and vegetable filling.
And the filling sauce is thickened with flour and milk or chicken stock.
Yes, seasoned with pepper and salt, poured over the layers of chicken and vegetables before that potato crust is placed on top and baked for 45 minutes.
Then we have the classic yet elaborate chicken pot pie featuring an intricate lattice crust. This is where savory baking meets true artistry.
This crust is a serious time commitment, both for texture and for flavor. It uses flour, cornmeal, paprika, dried mustard, and dill. That combination alone adds significant flavor depth.
The cornmeal for grit, the spices for color and heat.
And the dill for that aromatic herb note. And the technique for the lattice is not for the faint of heart. The dough is rolled into a large rectangle, sliced into strips, and then woven tightly together on a bake sheet before being chilled.
And that chilling is critical.
It ensures the intricate pattern doesn't lose its shape when you move it. Meanwhile, the chicken is boiled to create a flavorful liquid for the sauce, ensuring no flavor is wasted.
The sauce uses that reserved boiling liquid, thickened with butter, flour, bouillon, and cream.
Finally, the chilled lattice pastry is inverted over the dish. The edges are trimmed and crimped, brushed with an egg wash, and baked at 400 for 45 minutes. It is a masterpiece of savory baking technique.
Now, corned-top beef pie is essentially shepherd's pie meets chili, but with a baffling addition that ties back to the oddity of the apple pies we discussed earlier. Fruit in a beef filling.
It is highly unusual. The beef filling ground lean beef and celery is browned and drained, then flavored with chili sauce, pepper, cumin, and a chopped unpeeled apple.
Where are the apples?
It's not just for sweetness. The acid and pectin in the apple, particularly if you leave it unpeeled, help bind the beef mixture and provide a textural element that breaks up the monotony of the ground meat.
And the topping contrasts that heavy, spicy filling.
Yes, it uses prepared corn muffin mix into which whole kernel corn is added. This batter is spread over the meat filling and baked until the cornbread is golden browned. The topping provides a sweet, slightly gritty texture that balances the rich, meaty, spicy filling.
We wrap up the savory section with a specialty dish that grounds us in regional cooking, crawfish pie.
This is a celebration of Louisiana cuisine. The process involves sautéing a pound of peeled crawfish tails in butter, setting them aside, and then cooking the vegetables. Mushrooms, garlic, celery, green pepper, onions in the remaining oil.
And the binder for this rich, luxurious filling is critical. It has to blend the vegetables and crawfish into a cohesive meal.
The mixture is bound with cream of mushroom soup, and importantly, the instructions suggest adding white wine if the mixture becomes too thick. The seasoned mixture is then spooned into 12 pre-baked patty shells.
I find the use of pre-baked patty shells interesting here. If they commit this much time to cooking the filling, why use a shortcut for the crust?
It highlights where the effort is valued. In a specialty dish like this, the complexity and flavor depth of the filling is the star. Using pre-made puff pastry patty shells saves significant time and provides the perfect flaky individual container without distracting from the main event.
It just confirms our earlier theory. Pie is an adaptable form. It's equally comfortable hosting red-hot candies or spicy crawfish and wine sauce.
Exactly.
That transition is perfect. We now shift focus entirely to Section 3. The creamy confections. Here, the focus is less on raw ingredients and more on the science of texture. We're analyzing thickening agents, chilling requirements, and achieving that perfect set with chocolate and coconut dominating.
In the world of cream pies, texture is paramount.
Yeah.
And the methods used to achieve that perfect set or silkiness are really a demonstration of applied culinary physics.
Let's start with the caramel and cocoa custards. The caramel candy pie uses gelatin, which is a structural stabilizer. That gives us a light texture, right? Rather than the heavy binding of cornstarch or flour.
It's the gelatin setting method, which results in a mousse-like texture. You soften unflavored gelatin in cold water, then mix it with melted caramels and milk, stirring until it's fully dissolved.
And then it's chilled.
Chilled for 60 minutes until it's set. stirring occasionally, before being folded into whipped cream. This process locks in air and results in a much lighter, airy filling than a standard cooked custard.
And the topping demands a completely different skill set: candy making.
It is a technical hard-cracked garnish. Slivered almonds and sugar are cooked in a skillet over gentle heat until the sugar melts and the almonds turn golden. This mixture has to be quickly spread onto greased foil to harden, then broken apart for garnish. It requires high heat management and speed.
Compared to that, the caramel pie is very old school, relying on the careful use of the bain-marie again.
That is the classic dark brown sugar custard. It combines butter, sugar, and flour. Then eggs and milk are added. And it is explicitly cooked inside a bain-marie until thick. This is essential because brown sugar is so prone to scorching.
The gentle heat guarantees a smooth, deep, rich flavor without any burnt edges.
Exactly.
The chocolate chess pie is the cocoa twist on a very traditional baked custard, characterized by its dense, rich interior.
It uses cocoa, melted margarine, sugar, evaporated milk, eggs, vanilla, salt, and some chopped pecans. The process is straightforward custard. Beat the ingredients together, fold in the nuts, pour into the unbaked crust, and bake. What defines chess pie is the set.
The recipe specifies the gentle shake test.
Right. If it slightly quivers, it's done a hallmark of a properly set custard that is still tender in the middle.
Now, for the real custard masterclass, we have the chocolate cream pie, which details some very complex cooking steps for properly incorporating the thickening agents.
This recipe requires careful tempering of the yolks to ensure a perfectly smooth filling. The dry ingredients, cocoa, flour, salt, sugar, are mixed with milk and cooked until boiling. Then, half the hot mixture is added to the slightly beaten yolks. That's the tempering step.
To prevent scrambling.
Right. Then this tempered mixture is returned to the saucepan and boiled for exactly 1 minute.
Why that 1-minute boil?
That ensures the full activation of the starch for maximum thickness and stability before it cools. If you don't boil it long enough, the starch won't fully hydrate, and the pie might weep or be too loose. Finally, you add vanilla and butter off the heat for flavor and sheen.
Let's move to Section B, focusing on no-bake, instant, and silk methods. This is where speed is prioritized alongside innovative texture creation, often leveraging stabilizers like gelatin or marshmallows.
The chocolate-covered banana pie is noteworthy for its heavy reliance on marshmallows to create volume and texture. It's essentially using them as a substitute for labor-intensive whipped cream stabilizers.
It calls for a huge volume. 4.5 cups of mini marshmallows divided. That's a density bomb.
It is. The chocolate layer is made by melting chocolate chips, 2 cups of marshmallows, and milk over low heat. The second vanilla pudding layer is also fortified by the remaining marshmallows and whipped topping. The melted marshmallows provide volume and a specific chewiness that's different from a standard custard or gelatin pie.
We have 2 versions of the chocolate icebox pie, both using the bain-marie, but with different primary ingredients.
Version 1 is minimalist. It uses sweetened condensed milk, unsweetened chocolate, and water, cooked in a bain-marie until thick. Version 2 is more traditional custard-based, using baking chocolate, milk, cornstarch, sugar, and egg yolks, also cooked in a bain-marie.
So both methods highlight the enduring value of that gentle water bath.
For achieving a creamy texture before chilling, yes, regardless of whether you're using condensed milk or raw yolks.
The standard chocolate pie offers one crucial technique that any home baker should know about preventing a custard skin, which is a common pitfall of cream pies.
That is a critical piece of technical instruction that's often overlooked. After the filling is cooked and poured, the instructions specify the crucial chilling step, covering the pie with a plastic wrapper directly onto the filling while it chills.
So the plastic wrap actually touches the filling?
Yes. This prevents the exposed surface from drying out and oxidizing, which is what creates that tough, rubbery skin you often find on improperly chilled puddings or custards.
But the height of texture perfection must be the chocolate silk pie. This technique requires an almost molecular level of care. It's pure emulsion science.
Chocolate silk pie is a brilliant display of how butter, sugar, and egg proteins can be stabilized without heat. The process demands beating butter until creamy, gradually adding sifted powdered sugar until it's smooth and light. Then comes the vital step.
The eggs.
Beating cold eggs individually and continuously into the mixture along with the melted chocolate and vanilla.
Why must the eggs be cold, and why are they added one by one?
This is all about forming an emulsion, which is the stable mixing of fat and water. The eggs have to be added cold because if they're warm, they run the risk of dissolving the sugar too quickly or reacting too violently with the butter. Adding them individually ensures they are fully emulsified, bonding the fat and liquid perfectly.
And that creates the silk texture.
It creates that smooth, light, almost aerated texture known as silk, which is its defining characteristic. It's a technique that rewards patience with an unparalleled texture.
For the slightly less technically inclined, the creamy chocolate pie uses a convenience item to speed the process while still achieving a rich flavor.
It leverages pre-sweetened ingredients. It uses chocolate-sweetened condensed milk and egg yolks, thickened with cornstarch and water. It's cooked on a moderately low heat for 12 to 15 minutes, then spooned into a graham crust and chilled. It relies on the richness of that pre-made condensed milk for depth of flavor.
And it's topped with Cool Whip, of course.
Of course.
Finally, let's move to Section C, coconut and citrus cream pies. This highlights flavor complexity and unique chilling methods that showcase some sophisticated layering.
The citrus cream crumble pie is a sophisticated layered effort using gelatin to marry 3 distinct citrus flavors.
We see lemon juice, orange juice, and a full teaspoon of lime zest. That's a powerful trio.
Yes, and the complexity is in the setting method. The filling is cooked, then the gelatin and lime zest are added, and it's chilled until set. The critical instruction is the split method. You save half a cup of the chilled juice mixture to fold into frozen whipped topping for the top layer.
So the citrus flavor is in both the filling and the topping.
It ensures that strong citrus flavor is carried throughout both layers, which is then sprinkled with crumbled pecan shortbread cookies. It's a beautifully engineered flavor experience.
The coconut almond cream pie utilizes toasted nuts and coconut in the crust, but the filling ingredients are also quite specific. It introduces a savory dairy element.
The crust incorporates toasted almonds and coconut, baked for aroma and crunch. The filling is a cooked custard, but it uses sour cream and vanilla pudding mix, specifically not instant cooked, with condensed milk and egg yolks.
The sour cream is key.
It is. It provides a distinct tanginess and rich body that cuts through the intense sweetness of the condensed milk and coconut, adding a necessary complexity.
The coconut dream pie brings back that critical piece of chilling advice we learned earlier about preventing that skin from forming.
Indeed. This filling is made using unsweetened coconut milk and whole milk, thickened with cornstarch and egg yolks. And it explicitly re-emphasizes that crucial cooling step, wrapping a plastic wrapper directly onto the filling for 4 hours to chill thoroughly.
And the topping.
Once it's set, the final topping of whipped cream is garnished with freshly grated nutmeg and toasted coconut. The nutmeg and toasted coconut add warmth and texture, moving the pie beyond just simple sweetness.
For ultimate lightness, we have the coffee chiffon pie. This uses chiffon technique, which implies the ultimate in airiness. How do we achieve that perfect cloud-like chiffon texture?
The true chiffon texture is achieved by cooking a mixture of gelatin, yolks, and brewed coffee, specifically with chicory, in a bain-marie until the gelatin is dissolved. Then you chill the mixture.
And then fold in the air.
Once it starts to set, you carefully fold in stiffly beaten egg whites and heavy whipped cream. This rigorous folding process incorporates a maximum volume of air and stabilizes it using the gelatin. The chicory coffee provides that deep roasted flavor that distinguishes this particular chiffon pie.
The crackling coconut cream pie has a very modern, almost restaurant-quality garnish option that provides a strong flavor contrast.
This is a solid, well-made custard using sweetened condensed milk, thickened with cornstarch and water. But what elevates it is the optional garnish of mango sauce.
What does the mango do?
Mango provides a bright, acidic, and tropical counterpoint to the rich, heavy coconut cream. It's a modern technique used by chefs to prevent richness fatigue.
And finally, a quick seasonal freezer pie, the cranberry cream pie.
This is another no-bake, quick chill option. It involves mixing cream cheese, whipping cream, vanilla, and sugar, then folding in whole berry canned cranberry sauce.
And it's a freezer pie.
Spooned into a graham crust and placed in the freezer. Like the ice cream pies, it requires a short 15-minute thaw before serving to achieve that creamy, spoonable texture. Otherwise, it's just too hard to slice.
And of course, the Crystal Light lemonade pie reappears as the simplest version of the chilled cream pie.
The simplest, requiring only those 4 ingredients: milk, cream cheese, Crystal Light lemonade mix, and Cool Whip mixed and chilled.
The existence of these extremes, from the technically rigorous coffee chiffon using a bain-marie to the 4-ingredient instant lemonade pie, it just demonstrates the massive bandwidth of this collection.
It does. Pie isn't defined by one method. It's defined by the container and the cook's desire for either the fastest or the most impressive result.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive. We've covered everything from banana royale and red hot candy filling to savory crawfish and cheddar crusts. What are the key insights we gained from this exhaustive review of these most wanted recipes?
I think the key is that the philosophical battle between technique and substitution defines the modern pie landscape. We saw traditional, painstaking techniques like the bain-marie and two-stage baking coexist directly with incredibly modern shortcuts like instant pudding, Cool Whip, and Crystal Light Mix.
And the creativity.
The greatest takeaway is the boundless creativity demonstrated through unique structural and flavor substitutions. We analyzed recipes using salty soda crackers for texture, Sprite for leavening, red hot candies for spice, and the structural adaptation of cheddar cheese in both sweet and dinner applications.
It's an overwhelming volume of variation. What does this reveal about home cooking and the whole concept of a most wanted pie?
Well, this collection isn't just a book of recipes. It's a manual on culinary adaptability and the iterative nature of the home cook. It shows how texture, the smooth emulsion of silk, the lightness of chiffon, the crunch of a crumble, and preparation time are equally as vital to flavor.
And the fact that there are so many variations of the same thing.
The inclusion of so many variations on the same theme. 2 cantaloupe pies, 2 chocolate icebox pies, multiple approaches to chicken pot pie. It shows that cooks are constantly iterating until they find the fastest or the richest or the most unique version of a classic that appeals to their specific needs or, the current trends.
So, if the ultimate goal is the most wanted pie, and we've seen everything from rich chocolate silk demanding cold eggs to savory crawfish and a pre-made patty shell, what is the single defining characteristic that truly makes a pie indispensable in the modern kitchen?
That's the question.
Is the modern cook chasing the sheer novelty of an ingredient, like the soda cracker crust or the use of Sprite? Or is there still an underlying reverence for the complexity of the precise cooking technique, like the patient use of the bain-marie for a perfect custard? We leave you to ponder. In a world where speed is king, which of these pies, based on pure technical dedication, do you think is truly missing from the average home cook's repertoire today?